Our ghost of Christmas past memories may fill us with regret and sadness and sorrow. And on this video, we are going to look at ways to make slight shifts and restore ourselves so that Christmases now and the future will no longer be filled with the pain of regret and sorrow. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 24. I hear the crowds wildly applauding. Yay! I am delighted to take you on a little journey through my Christmases past that weren't so present and how I've come today to enjoy alternative ways to celebrate Christmas that are in no way less than, they're simply different than. And I'm so grateful for each and every Christmas, past, present, and I am very excited to look forward to the future. Christmas 1989 was a turning point for me, one that I had no idea was a turning point. That year, I was pregnant for the first time after trying for 3 years, and I was so excited to finally be becoming a mother. One of my gifts was this beautiful basket filled with baby things and a small doll because it had been my mother's tradition to give me a doll every Christmas. Mom wrote a beautiful, heartfelt note about that tradition and how it was joyfully coming to an end. And then next year we would have a beautiful baby to celebrate Christmas with. Less than 2 months later, we had experienced the funeral of that same baby. My first baby was stillborn on February 9th, 1990. I've done an incredible amount of healing work, as you can imagine. I've done work to support parents who have lost infants and had stillbirths and miscarriages. I have written a newsletter. I was involved with the newsletters and I even went on to write a column for a newsletter about experiencing infertility as well as a lost journey, or those two things that go sometimes hand in hand, which I don't want to say make the loss worse, but it just makes it more poignant because when people inevitably say to you, well, you'll always have another baby, for me, I didn't know if that was ever going to happen. The beautiful, not end, but the beautiful next step on this journey, baby-wise, came in 1991, 2 years after that Christmas where I got that box or that beautiful basket full of toys, when my daughter Catherine was born actually on Christmas Day. It had been a scary pregnancy, and I spent the last 6 weeks or so at home. My doctor took me off of work. She was, I think, as nervous as I was, and I had a lot of additional care during that pregnancy. And that daughter, now I'm going to cry of happiness. That daughter was the most amazing 5-year-old theologian I ever knew, and she's now a pastor at a church here in southern New Jersey. And her daughter, 2.5-year-old, incredible human, has the same name as my first baby, which people say to me, what's that like? I have to say at first I was really shocked by the choice because I was totally not expecting it. But now it's just so amazing to say her name. And it's not that she's a replacement. She's a totally different person than my little girl would have been. And yet, it's a beautiful acknowledgement. After my baby died, I decided to cancel Christmas. I refused to do the celebrating at all and just shut myself totally down from celebrating Christmas. I think I was dealing with real severe anger with God as well as depression and a big, huge bout of hopelessness. Now, to add with me canceling Christmas, I had in the past year, between the time my baby died in December, I had quit my high-paying, well-respected job that had all kinds of bonuses and great things and phenomenal people in a community. I didn't sell my house. I bought a new house. We moved towns and we put our other house on the market. It wasn't sold at Christmas time yet. It did sell eventually, thank God. What else? And then I took on a job. At one point that year, I was working 3 jobs at the same time. But I took on a job at a home for developmentally disabled people, returning to work that I had done when I was in high school. This time I became a manager though. So I was a manager at that facility. And I decided to work on Christmas, again, ignoring Christmas completely. Also, in that season, the water on our house froze because it was an extremely cold Christmas, and the engine of my less than a year old car blew. So my engine blew, my pipes weren't working, couldn't get a plumber because it was Christmas time. It was basically a continuation of what we went on to call the decade from hell. That year definitely was hellacious. Now, when I told my family that I was not going to participate in Christmas, I never really heard what they thought. I think they may have been shocked. And I don't know when I made this wild proclamation. It may have been several months previously because I was voluntold to host Thanksgiving. So I think that Mom may have voluntold me to host Thanksgiving as a hope that it would cheer me up and make me realize that holidays aren't bad. And it was actually a really fun holiday. Though I remember after everyone left, crying. I believe with my cousin Darcy was still around at that point because she had come for the day. My cousin Darcy's been my long-term, since we were children, emotional support person when difficult things happen. She's like my younger sister that I never had. I remember calling my mom after the engine blew and when the pipes froze, and Mom said, well, we keep hoping you'll come down here for Christmas. And I believe I said something like, well, I'm working, I can't. Even talking about this now, I'm having more insights into who I was back then compared to who I am now. But these are some things that I wish I could have done differently, or I wish that when I first said, hey, I'm not doing Christmas this year, I really wish that the people who loved me from my family, who felt closest to me, maybe Darcy and my mom, and maybe my sister, maybe one of my brothers, had a conversation with me and lovingly in person. What I would do now if I was faced with a child in that same circumstance, I would do that. And also, I would also lovingly craft options for them. Just like when people grieve, I don't say, hey, grieving person, tell me what you'd like me to do. Instead, when a person is grieving, I say, hey, I am so sorry. And then I make an offer, like a multiple choice thing. I say, would you rather I do this or this or this? What I would do now is to say to that person, hey, I know that you would rather not celebrate Christmas in the way that we have in the past. And we would so love to spend time with you. So here are some things we've thought up that might make Christmas a memorable time for you. Some of those options could be doing a Christmas Eve get-together, maybe not at the family home, but at a neutral place. It could be getting together on Boxing Day and just gather everybody. In fact, that would have been possible because I wasn't working the day after Christmas. There's just so many options. And maybe I'll continue to come back to this video and add in the description thoughts that I have. But what about you? What are some creative ways you might support a grieving person or a person who says they want to cancel the holidays for whatever reason? If you have a longing to spend time with that person you love, I implore you to start a conversation, even if it's completely uncomfortable. The future will be more comfortable. And the ghosts of Christmas future will be more like when Scrooge woke up and said, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Remember how he ran around at the end in almost every version of the Christmas Carol film you may have seen. The rest of that story is, my family used to always get together, all 6 kids, all of our partners, spouses, children, etc. But to get together for Christmas. It was incredible. I loved it. It was like our touch point. If we didn't see each other the rest of the year, we knew we would see each other for Christmas. So after that Christmas, and after Catherine's birth on Christmas, we never spent Christmas together as a family. I have felt, and I still feel some of it, I felt guilt about that for a long time. Because I feel like there's still obviously feelings around that. I feel like I inadvertently, I felt guilt for years that I was the tradition breaker. and that I caused, without meaning to, the divorce from tradition. My parents started spending Christmas at their home in Flagstaff. They had bought a second home in Flagstaff, Arizona. And when Catherine was 2, we spent Christmas there with them and with my entire family. At that time, it was myself, Ken, my husband, Bianca, who was our foster daughter, and little tiny Catherine. It was a wonderful day. It was a great few days to spend in Flagstaff. After that, I can remember spending Christmas there when Emma was a baby. When Catherine was turning 6, we spent Christmas there. And in the alternating years, different sibling families would spend Christmas with my parents. And as the years went on, after Emma's baby Christmas, we never spent another Christmas day with my parents. So from 1997 until 2018, we never saw my parents on a Christmas day. In 2018, my mom called me in the middle of November and asked me to Thanksgiving. And I said, Mom, you haven't invited me to Thanksgiving. You haven't invited us to Thanksgiving in 16 years. So we've been doing alternative things. But I said, but we can come for Christmas. And that's what we did. Except it wasn't all my kids. Because at that point, Catherine was married and she's a pastor. So, we cannot celebrate Christmas in the same way as we did before. And that's okay. As I said in the outset of this video, now we celebrate Christmas differently. And in fact, one of my most memorable Christmases of recent past was 2 years ago when I was in California for Christmas. I had been living in New Jersey for a while then, and it was 2023. And I literally set an intention that I would have a memorable Christmas where we created lots of loving memories for my friends and family. And wow, did we do that. This is one of the reasons why I say, number one, these are the things, these are the tidbits. You've been waiting for tidbits, here they are. I'm hoping you've also picked up things along the way. Number one, communicate clearly. Number two, be willing to be uncomfortable when your family member tells them they don't want to do Christmas at all, they're giving up Christmas, bah humbug, any of that stuff that sounds Scroogey. Be willing to get uncomfortable in a conversation with them, not in a confrontational way, but a time when you are separate, if your emotions have died down from them making this bold declaration. Take your time with it, but please, please, please have those uncomfortable conversations. You'll thank me when you do. 3, set a solid intention of who you will be during this holiday season. I couldn't force my family and friends to have memorable times with me and celebrate with me, and I could issue the invitations, and I could create the context for everyone to have happy memories and joy to look back on it. And in 2023, we really hit that well. Down! Finally, I would also suggest setting aside some time to have some memorable outings around Christmas. You've seen in Vlogmas, I have showed you a lot of different adventures that I've taken during this time, during this incredible season. I did those adventures mostly on my own. And looking back, I'm glad that I did them, and I'm looking forward in the future to doing those same or similar activities with more people. So I would suggest that you schedule some outings and then invite a friend or 2 or 4 or 16 or however many along with you for that experience. Don't miss out. Miss out on another holiday season feeling like for your future holiday seasons, vaccinate yourself away from the Scrooginess of the past and step into a vibrant now and future. I would love to hear what you're thinking about any of this in the comments. And I would like to say, can you believe it? This is day 24 of Vlogmas. We have 1 day left. Tomorrow, Christmas Day, and on the 26th, no, I think I'll wait. No, not on the 26th. On the 30th, I will do a recap. I will do a recap of Vlogmas, what I learned, how much I enjoyed, etc. Right on cue, my brother sent me a text as I was talking. So that's my cue to get over this conversation and into the next one. Until tomorrow afternoon or evening, have a very, very Merry Christmas. It has been a joy to spend the season with you.